Hi, friends. You saw the title. You know what I'm doing this week. I'm going to redraw some of my old art. And I've actually been wanting to do this for a really long time, but redoing your old art requires that you actually have old art. And since I only got into drawing and painting fairly recently, I only have new art. So I had to wait for it to get old. It's still not old. It's like not even old enough to go to kindergarten yet. But this week, I'm going to try to birth some new baby infant art based on the preschoolers. Okay, this analogy is getting dumb. I'm going to go through what old art I do have, pick a couple of pieces, redo them, and see if I've improved at all. So since, like I said, I only really started doing art a few years ago, I don't have a ton of old artwork to look at. But I did find a few books. I might have some stuff from school saved somewhere in storage, but this is what I could find. I'm also notoriously bad at dating things, so I'm not even sure when some of this is from. These are my old reverse coloring book pages. When I first started teaching myself to draw, I was super into these collages. Oh, I did date that one. March 2020. Okay, so 4.5 years ago. This one is also from March 2020, but I actually really love that one still. I wouldn't change it at all. That's really cute. That was me testing out watercolor pencils. Why did I draw the clown from It? That's terrifying. Oh, that looks familiar. That's my Instagram profile photo. More kawaii practicing, watercolor roses, watercolor tie-dye, pages from Jackie's kit. I did not draw this. This was already drawn. I just colored it with watercolor markers. Okay, not a lot in there. This is a sketchbook, obviously. Beautiful first page. Magnificent. This is some kind of rodent. So far, a lot of these I don't want to redo because they're still actually really cute. And I'm not actually sure that I could do any better. A koala bear with soulless eyes. A very familiar looking fox. I feel like I did this exact same fox somewhere else. I know I did. I just don't remember where. This bat. I am still in love with this bat. He's so cute. Pastel clouds that are really cute, but you can't really see them because they have silver edges. More animals. A terrifying looking koala. A square-headed lion. I still love this penguin. Don't you ever change, baby. You are perfect. A shark I never colored in. Oh, okay, these. So I had this idea that I was going to draw people that all had something unusual about them. So, this guy has one eye that's bigger than the other, and this girl's mouth is turned down. I don't know. I never finished it, obviously. Some hearts that I did with a stencil. Okay, nothing great in there. Let's try some of these sketch prompt books. This is the sky falling down. Lovely. Okay, so this page I actually spent so much time on. I had different references for the pig, this little farmer guy, the tractor, the corn, all of that. I spent so much time on it, and then I went to Mod Podge it and Protect It, and not only did I smudge this down here, but also the page got stuck to the paper underneath, and it ripped, and I was so brokenhearted at the time because I really loved this page. A watercolor skyline. Here's an orchid. This peacock is amazing. I don't know if you can see, but he is sparkly and he is perfect. I would not change him at all. Except for that corn butt. Okay, last book, another drawing prompt book. I have a lot of paper clips and sticky tabs in these books, and I don't remember at all what they were for. These angel wings, I remember being so proud of myself when I did these, and now I'm just eh. This picture of an eye looking through a keyhole was one of my first videos. It really is awful. It needs to be redone, but honestly, I don't know that I could do any better now. I don't really draw people that often, especially realistically, but God, that's bad. And creepy. It seems like I did a lot of sketches that I never fully finished. I should really get back into this book though, if only because it's really fun to look back at my drawings later. I also really like to draw roses there for a while because I thought I was doing such a great job, but they aren't actually all that great. Oh god, this VooDoo doll. He's fun. Boy, he looks like a kindergartner drew him. A koala. I really drew a lot of koalas for a while there. I also did a video on this one. I still actually like him though, like he's pretty cute. A piñata. I like the colors on that one. This flamingo, which isn't that bad, but I Mod Podged it and smeared everything. I apparently hadn't learned about better fine liners at that time. A donut, a brick wall, real difficult. I don't know what to pick because there's a lot of pressure to make it better than the original, so I kind of want to pick a really ugly one just in case it comes out not great. This banana split, other than the liner that is smeared, looks great. I did a good job on the grading in the background. Pat on the back. Alright, the first one that I'm going to redo is this koala. I made a video when I did this one. It's actually my first video ever. I don't even think I used my voice in it. It didn't bleed through the back, so I obviously didn't use alcohol markers. I must have used watercolor and colored pencil over it. I know for sure that the leaves are all watercolor because I remember struggling with them. And the page must be sealed in because it's a little shiny. Looking at the actual drawing, he could definitely use a little help. First, he has kind of a square looking jaw and some terrifying eyes. They're not even soulless, they're possessed. He has an arm coming out of the middle of his stomach, and his hand is a little, well, it's a little something, alright. But this, what is this? I don't know what's happening here. He's either got a super fat, rolly upper thigh area, or he has two knees. The tree actually looks pretty good. I'm proud of myself for that one. So let's see if I've improved in the last 3 years. I'm going to use this Ohuhu marker pad because even though I used watercolors in the original, I have since discovered the magic of alcohol markers. Baby 3 years ago me did not know such an amazing thing existed. I saw another creator use this marker pad and they really liked it, and I have no self-control, so I bought it. Apparently, marker doesn't bleed through, so you can use both sides of the paper for art. I don't know if I actually want that, but I still want to try it. I'm just going to put this guy right here so I can see him staring at me, questioning all of my life choices. And I'm going to try to keep him mostly in the same position as the original, but fixing some of the problems, like moving his arm into an anatomically possible position and fixing whatever this leg situation is. I'm not gonna lie, I am insanely nervous to redo this guy. Even though I just ripped him to shreds a few minutes ago, he's actually not that bad, especially compared to some of the other koalas I drew early on. I would hope that I've improved since then, but what if I haven't? I'm gonna have to fire myself. I must have been working off a reference for the original because I pretty much always use references, but what the heck reference was I using? I tried to see if I could find it because I don't delete anything, ever, but I never was able to locate it. I am going to use two different references for this one in the sort of same position I want him in, and one for the cute factor. Because I do want this one to be cute. Maybe more realistic than before, but still cute. In the old picture, he kind of looks like he's sliding up the tree like a snail. Like some slime must be holding him on because he is certainly not doing anything to keep himself there. The sketching process has got to be the most time consuming of this whole piece because I am feeling really tentative and overthinking every little line. Like how the fur tufts should be rounded instead of spiky so that he looks soft and fluffy. or how they should be spread out more than close together, how one ear is slightly bigger than the other. I'm definitely more nervous to redraw this than something that I've never drawn before. Okay, I guess maybe my sketching has improved. I definitely feel more confident now that this might actually be better than the original. We're still only like a tenth of the way there, but as long as I don't mess it up with the coloring. But next, I have to decide if I want to outline it. Maybe not a big fat outline like I usually do, but a really thin one instead. I'm going to use this super little tiny itty bitty fine liner, and this one is by VooDoo because I know that they don't smear with alcohol markers. Neither of these products were sent to me by VooDoo, by the way. I bought them with my own money. I am not sponsored by VooDoo. Now, do I add claws? Koalas actually do have claws, but is it cuter without them? Maybe like a tiny claw? Let me erase all of the lines. Oh no, I missed his ear. Dummy. Well, it's definitely bigger on that side than on that side. Oh well. Okay, to color this in, I'm going to use my VooDoo alcohol markers. Again, not sponsored. They're just the only alcohol markers I have. They probably don't even like me that much. But that's okay, because I like them. I'm used to my love being unrequited. I need to decide what kind of shading I want. Do I want loose, realistic shading, or more cartoony blocking shading? Gotta think. I think I'm gonna go a little blocky because that's what I'm comfortable with. So I'm gonna go in with a few different shades of gray, starting with the lightest and overlapping them. I will say this paper is really nice in that the markers are much less streaky and a lot more blendy. I'm used to using printer paper, which is like the cheapest paper ever. But the markers bleed a lot on this paper. The areas where I left a little light gray showing on the edges are completely covered up, and it bled past my outlines. Maybe you're not meant to outline, or maybe you are, but you do it afterwards. I'm kind of making up the shadows as I'm going, and I like how it looks in places like the ears, but I am struggling with it on the body and the face. He's got a weird light and fluffy looking area in the center of his face, like he has a mohawk right there. A face hawk. Ooh, kind of regretting all of my choices right now, but everything has an ugly phase and almost everything is fixable. I'll just keep layering and trying to blend, and I'll use a colorless blender to try to clean up some of the bleeding and maybe add back some highlighted areas. I actually don't hate how it's looking so far, it's just not looking how I want, which is always what I'm afraid of when I color something in. For the background, I'm going to try to do the same leafy background as the original, but I'm going to make the leaves a little bigger so I don't spend 87 years working on it. I'm using 5 different greens, starting with the lightest, and then just sort of layering and spreading everything out. I need more practice with markers because I am definitely going to have to go in with colored pencils over this to fix it. I'm starting with his eyes and face because they will need the most detail. Even though they're so small, no one will probably notice them unless they look insane. I feel like the goal is to make them look good enough that no one pays attention to them. Does that make sense? I really want to learn how to make neat marker art without colored pencils. I mean, I love how markers look with colored pencils over them, but I'd also like to be able to do cool art with just markers. Like, I've been watching a ton of cat art illustrations lately, and the things she can do with markers are insane. I want to learn how to do that. But honestly, what don't I want to learn how to do? Seriously, the last year or so, I've been having this feeling Like, the list of things I want to learn and want to do is just growing and growing, and there's never enough time for it all, and I'm starting to get anxious that I'll never be able to fit everything in before I get old and die. Is that just me? That's probably just me. Even though my brain usually wants to work color by color, I decided for this piece to work in sections because I really needed to focus on each part. It was like if the shading wasn't just right and I moved on, I would forget about it or something. I am really driving myself crazy on this piece. I did consider trying to make a fur texture or draw individual hair tufts or something, but I don't really know how to do that. So I just set a more realistic goal of trying to blend out the weird shading on him. For the branch, I just blended it in a little bit and added a few more thin bark lines. I left the background alone, except for adding a darker green shadow under and around the koala so that he would stand out a little bit more. And of course, I remembered to date the page so I could remember its birthday. You know, as complicated and stressful as I made this process for myself, and I am fully aware that the problem is me, I am super happy that I did it. Not only do I really, really love this page, I am super proud of myself for how far I've come. Even after all of the struggle, or maybe because of it, looking at this finished page gives me such a sense of satisfaction. So, on a high from that page, I do have time for one more. And I chose this guy. Yes, the scraggliest looking VooDoo doll ever. And this time I did find the original reference that I used. Prepare yourself. What in the world was I doing? I saved this reference on my phone in March of 2021, so that means that there was 1 month between this and this. His hair looks like the doll from Rugrats. I obviously gave up on trying to make him anything but flat, and his stitches are way too neat. I just took a lot of creative liberties with this guy. Well, liberties. I don't know that they were that creative. Since I found the original reference that I used, I am going to work off of that reference. I'm not quite as stressed out about this one because I feel like I did pretty well with the koala, and honestly, this one cannot possibly get worse. I decided for this one that I wanted a chunkier outline so that he looks really cartoony. I took basically no creative liberties with this sketch because it looks exactly the same as the reference, but that's fine because I'm going to get really wild with the coloring. I'm pretty sure that I just used colored pencils for the original one. I don't have video evidence to go back to, but that's just what it looks like to me. Again, I'm going to use alcohol markers because I want to give it a really colorful and glowy blue and purple gradient. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of cat art illustrations lately, and her pieces are always colorful and glowy. I'm definitely not like even on the same continent skill-wise, but watching her does make me want to play around with markers so much more. I didn't plan ahead for where I wanted the color gradients to be sort of centered, so they came out a bit of a mess. Especially the face, where I really think I should have left a lot more blue. I just kept layering the colors over and over to try to get them to blend a little bit more. And maybe that's why these bled outside the lines so much. Even though I wasn't a fan of how this was coming out, I will say there's something so satisfying on like a sensory level about coloring with these super juicy markers and watching them all blend together. I spent a long time with a colorless blender trying to clean up where it bled so that I could go over it later with different colors. I went around the edge with my thickest fine liner and really fattened up the outer outline to cover up all of that bleeding. For the eye buttons, I kept the same green and blue color scheme as the reference, but I did change the hair to a brighter pink because I feel like that matches better than a pea yellow. I used colored pencils to try to fix this, but honestly, I wasn't able to do that much. I couldn't really fix the face with more blue, but I was able to really blend out the transition between the purple and the blue. I focused a lot on adding shading and highlights to the eyes, the hair, the heart, and the pins. And even though this piece didn't come out how I saw it in my head, I do still really like it. It's definitely an improvement over the original. So that's the 2 that I had time for this week. What do you think? Should I do more of these? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.